What's up, everybody? It's more of Use WTF here. Time for my next first impressions video. I have a review already recording, but I decided I want to give another first impressions on a video game I just finished playing, and I'm gonna give a full review on it as soon as I can. But right now, here's my first impressions. The game is Deadpool. This game I was really looking forward to. I knew nothing of Deadpool before this game. But I knew Marvel had helped make it, and High Moon Studios and Activision. Activision, I know, has made some great Marvel or superhero licensed games. And if Marvel being involved, and they had the original writer working on it, I was like, well, this actually could be a pretty good game. And it blew away my expectations. It's an incredibly funny game. It totally represents everything people I've at least heard about Deadpool. The fact that he breaks the fourth wall a lot, the fact that he's very random and he's funny, and the fact that he's a badass merc with a mouth. It's great. And they got a great voice actor to play him. Nolan North voices Deadpool. That's awesome, man. So, okay, let's get this first impression started. My first impressions of playing this game was just, what the hell am I playing? Because the game starts off, okay, pretty much review in first person. Here we go. The game pretty much starts off with Deadpool just chilling in his house, talking about, hey, I want to make my own video game. I sent my script to High Moons, and they say no. So he's like, oh, you know what, I'm gonna blow him up. Blows him up, and then they just call him back, and they're like, oh, hey, Deadpool, baby, remember me? We're gonna make you a game. And that's pretty much the plot, man. The plot is that Deadpool wanted his own game. He forces High Moon to make it, and it gets made as the story progresses. Now, I actually think this is a pretty good idea, and they handle it really well. At least for what they've done, they make a lot of the fourth wall jokes that you think where they would, like overusing the budget so the game looks downgraded. Occasionally, it gets turned into an overhead view or side scroller, at least once, and there are some turret sections here and there, and there's a bit of variety in this game, so it's not all just hack and slash. And that's another thing. I heard going in, this game was going to be like a very poor man's version of DMC. But I think it's a better version of Lollipop Chainsaw. And I love Lollipop Chainsaw. I thought the game was very funny. I thought the action was good. The story was pretty damn funny, and it was a good game. I thought this game was better than that one because the combat system was a little more robust a combat system than the Lollipop Chainsaw, and also it applied guns. It applied a third-person gun mechanic that was better than the fucking guns in Lollipop Chainsaw. So I thought of that, and my idea of it greatly improved because that's all it was. It was a great game. The mechanics for the controls for the combat is very fluent. For what they had with the game, because I know it was a budget game, that's why it's out for $50. But yeah, it was very fluent combat system, and the guns, I actually found myself not using them a lot, except in the gun fu combos where you can hit somebody, then you hit the trigger buttons, and then it just fires at them. But I found myself not using it as much as I did until I hit it on ultra violence difficulty. Then you need to use the guns at a distance. Then you need that. And another thing I found is an upgrade system for Deadpool, much like in DMC, but unlike in DMC, you can actually do these upgrades on the fly. So if you get enough combo points, you can just hit the select button and you can upgrade whatever you want if you have enough. The problem with this is they don't give you enough health upgrades, and they don't give you enough healing upgrades, because Deadpool in this game, he will lose a lot of health, and that will cause you to fall back. And when that happens, you just feel like, oh, okay, I'm waiting for myself to heal, when this is going to happen, and then you run back into the fight. Now, I would have no problem with this if his healing factor didn't take a couple seconds. Then I could just wait 2 seconds, heal, and then I'm back out. He keeps talking about his healing factor in the game. He's like, hey, they're hitting me, but it doesn't matter, I have a healing factor. We know, but speed it up. And the graphics in this game, they're not top-notch Xbox 360 graphics. They're not top-notch PS3 graphics, but they're I can look at them and I'm not gonna be like, oh, that's a terrible looking game. Deadpool himself looks very defined as a character. Um, and let's see. Another thing they applied to the game, aside from just running into rooms and beating up everybody in the other room to move on to the next room, is they added platforming sections. And these platforming sections, I think, actually were pretty well done. Which is good to know, because they actually do get harder as they go along to give you more platforming. In fact, the last level of the game, it's an entire platforming section, all the way up to the boss. By the way, which is Mr. Sinister, who's really cool. Never seen Mr. Sinister in a video game, let alone being a boss. And he's not the only one to appear. A lot of Marvel characters have appeared, like Cable, Wolverine, Rogue. There's actually a cool part of the game you get to play as Rogue, but it's kind of shitty because Rogue may have absorbed her powers, but she doesn't have like your teleportation counter or your any of your moves other than your basic 1-2 attacks, your heavy and light attacks. So she can't double jump, she can't do any of that. So it's kind of like, hey, we're gonna take some of your strength away and then you fight, which is kind of BS. But yeah, a lot of the other characters appear and they have great chemistry with Deadpool. Just the way these characters act around him, like Wolverine's a badass. He's like, no, you're not doing this, you're not doing this. He's like, oh, come on, let me do it. And he's a ridiculous character in contrast with Wolverine, who is such a serious character. That really worked for the game, and I like that. There's this one funny part, like right after they meet, where there's this achievement they get for slapping the hell out of Wolverine, and Deadpool is just constantly yelling this annoying things to him, and it's really funny. Oh, another really cool thing about the game is that the weapons in the game, you don't just get your swords and your pistols. You actually get to buy weapon upgrades, and you get to buy weapons. You can buy, I think, 4 weapons and 4 grenades, 4 types of throwing weapons and planting weapons. You get katanas, sais, and hammers for your handheld weapons. The katanas are pretty much your medium weapon. They're heavy hitters and they're fast. The sais are your fastest weapons, but they don't do as much damage until you upgrade them. And then there is your hammers. They're your slowest weapons, but they're your strongest. And then for your guns, you have your regular pistols, which are the same thing, medium fast and all that. And then you get your shotguns. Shotguns are powerful up close, shit at distance, but they get the job done. And then there is your machine gun or semi-automatic, which I never really used, and then there's your plasma rifle. Your plasma rifle, that's the one you're going to be using at the end of the game the entire time, aside from the pistols. It works a lot better than the shotguns. And each one of these items and weapons is fully upgradable. They each have their own weapon upgrade system, which is great. For what they could have done with this game, for everything for this game to go wrong, it actually went right in so many ways. The potential for this game was not fully tapped, I would say, but I would say they were in such a right direction with this. If they had just had a little more time, like if they had like half a year, this game would be just up there with all the great comic book adaptation games, and it still is. It's just not as high on the list as it would be if it, was better. I would say in terms of recent Marvel video games that are not Lego, this is a great game and is one of the best. What else should I say? I think that's pretty much everything I want to say about this game, but it is just awesome how they got everything to work out so well, and they got Deadpool to be so funny, and the characters to be great and have great chemistry with him, and how he breaks the fourth wall is not annoying or stupid. Well, it may be stupid, but it's a good kind of stupid. And I guess that would lead me up to the rating part of this first impression / review. It was a tough one, but I would say I would give it a 7. Deadpool to me is definitely a hard 7 and nothing less and nothing above. It's a great game, and I would definitely recommend you to buy it, especially since there's a sale going on. If you trade in 2 games, you can actually pick that game up for $10. Along with, you can also pick up Last of Us for $10, which is the same deal, just a little here and there. But this game is great. It is so much fun. I only give it a 7 because of the repetitive nature of its combat. If they had given it some more variety, if they had added more challenge maps to it instead of giving it DLC, if they had given you the costumes right off the bat, if there was just something to give it more playability, like making it a score attack game like Lollipop Chainsaw, I would actually be giving this game like an 8 or maybe a 9 if they had added all of that and maybe enhanced the campaign. Because I'm not going to lie to you guys, unlike Last of Us' campaign, which was 16 hours, Deadpool's campaign is only 6. It's a 6-hour campaign, so if you feel like you don't want to invest your time in that, then walk away, because that is what it is. But that's just about as long as it took for me to beat Lollipop Chainsaw, so I was not complaining, and I want to play through this game again on a harder difficulty. Unfortunately there isn't, but I'm going to do all the challenges and stuff. I'm going to play this game again. It's going to be so great. And I highly recommend that you get this game. If you're a Deadpool fan, this is the game you've always been waiting for. If you're a fan of Marvel licensed video games, this is a great addition to your collection. If you're a fan of brawlers and beat 'em ups, it's better than all those little milquetoast ones that you've barely heard of coming out of the bat. This game, it's great, and again, I highly recommend it. Check it out if you haven't played it. Don't let the 7 I just said bother you, because it's a great game. It just hadn't had its full potential tapped. And maybe we'll see more of its potential in DLCs of extra missions, extra maps, and all that. Maybe then it'll get to that part, that rating that I want it to be. But for now, it unfortunately isn't it, but it just barely gets it. But anyway, that was my first impressions of Deadpool. I hope you guys actually found this somewhat entertaining. You wanted to know about the game, you found something out about the game. Thank you again for listening, and I will see you guys on my next first impressions after the show, Anime Weekend, PlayStation Tuesdays, or XR. See you guys next time.